All right. Kyle Dubas. Okay, first half of the video spent trashing him, and I have Sportsnet on in the background, and I'm really happy that I do because they just announced the Jack Campbell trade, and I'm not scrapping the entire video, right? Because what I said was real, what I said was right, and what I said was true. But Kyle, you know what? Man? Okay. All right. Glad to know that we're on the same page. All right. What are we doing? I guess welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, like I said a couple of weeks ago, my harsh criticism for this team was going to be reserved until after the trade deadline. And my harsh criticism for Kyle Dubas in particular was going to be reserved until after the trade deadline, or even later on until the end of this upcoming offseason. And my explanation for that was that the previous regime, Lou Lamoriello, allowed the same glaring holes on the blue line to be thrown over the boards night in and night out in the shape of Ron Hainsey, Nikita Zaitsev, and Roman Polak. No offense to those players, they were just players that weren't good enough to be playing the roles that they were playing. And then Kyle Dubas stepped in and he acquired Jake Muzzin and Tyson Barrie. You could debate the effectiveness and how good those players have been since they've gotten here and how well they filled the holes that we expected them to, but at least they were brought in the first place, right? You know, Kyle Dubas didn't spend 2 second-round picks trying to fill the void of the fourth-line center position. He went out and got a guy who he thought would fill it, and then went out and got a coach who would actually use the players that he provided him with instead of just crying like a baby on locker cleanout day that he didn't have enough depth. But you know what? It's time to at least put a little bit of pressure on the person who we sat through with for 3 contract negotiations where we really got hosed on all 3 of them. I mean, you can't really get hosed in a contract negotiation for Austin Matthews anyway because he's going to be a perennial all-star and one of the best goal scorers in the league. So, I mean, whatever amount of money you're paying him, he's probably worth it to begin with. But we sat through the Nylander just shit show. We sat through the Marner. I'm not even going to comment on what that was. Maybe it's time to put a little bit of pressure on the guy who decided to keep Garrett Sparks over Curtis McElhinney. I understand the logic behind it. I understand why it was done, but it didn't work out, Kyle. It didn't work out. And when things didn't work out with Mike Babcock got fired. It's a results-oriented business, and when you don't produce, you get fired. And I've praised you for being progressive in other areas, but nothing has been done about this goaltending situation. It's probably been said before. You've probably been heard it, but what? The backup plan was Michael Neuwirth to Michael Hutchison at the beginning of the year? Really? And I keep hearing about, their cap restraint. They can't do anything even if they wanted to. Well, you know, some of that is self-inflicted, right? Nobody grabbed your hand and put the pen to the paper and signed those contracts. Nobody put the phone to your face and a gun to your head and said, call this agent and negotiate this deal. And I'm not saying I'm not okay with the cap situation because I will take John Tavares, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander on my team any day of the week, no matter what cap hell it puts us in, because they're amazing friggin' players and anybody would be happy to have them. We're in this situation now and we gotta make the best of it, Kyle. So how can we make the best of this situation? Please, Kyle, how can we make the best of it? Because without Frederick Anderson, we're boned. We're screwed. There's no one coming down that tunnel. There's no Harry Potter on the other side of the lake to save Harry Potter from the Dementors. I believed in we can and we will, and I believe in magic, but there's only so much that I could do to just stay optimistic about it, right? I'm not naive. You know, we just got done playing the Rangers, and Alexander Georgiev was talked about on the broadcast before, during, and after the game, and we went over this already, right? We went over these trades, and we explained why trading Kasperi Kapanen for Alexander Georgiev is just not in the cards, because all of these goalies were in the same point in their careers that Georgiev is in right now, and none of them were traded for roster players. And if that's the extent of the situation that we're boned to, then that's the extent of the situation, right? I'm fine with giving up Kasperi Kapanen if it gets us a goalie in here to make us unboned, because that's just the extent of it, right? Don't be like the previous regime that sat on their hands and knees with the defense for 3 years. And don't be like the previous regime where they gave up multiple second-round picks for Band-Aid solutions for the fourth line, because that doesn't help anyone. Just do something about it. And the trade is up on the screen right now. The Maple Leafs have acquired goaltender Jack Campbell and forward Kyle Clifford from the Los Angeles Kings in exchange for forward Trevor Moore, Columbus's third-round pick in the 2020 NHL draft. I told you that was a valuable one. And a conditional third-round pick in 2021. All right, guys, just a little insert into the video because we have found out the details of that conditional third-round pick. It can move up to Toronto's second-round pick in 2021 if they re-sign Kyle Clifford, which they probably won't, or if they make the playoffs and Campbell wins 6 regular season games this year, which is unlikely to happen because Frederik Andersen is day-to-day, and when Freddie comes back, Jack Campbell's going to be the backup goalie. And for the Maple Leafs to get 6 wins out of their backup goalie at this point in the season is probably not something that's going to happen. So Trevor Moore and 2 third-round picks is what it looks like the Maple Leafs are going to be giving up for half a season of Kyle Clifford and 2+ seasons of Jack Campbell. But Jack Campbell plays on the LA Kings, and the LA Kings suck, so I wouldn't put too much stock into his numbers anyway. But he did have an amazing season last year with the Kings, and they still really, really sucked. Kyle Clifford, I went to go over to the LA Kings cap-friendly page, but he was already transferred over to the Maple Leafs page within like 10 minutes of the trade break-in. So, guys, this website is magical. Anyway, Kyle Clifford coming with salary retained is what Cap Friendly is saying. And I think this is a forward that a lot of people are going to be able to get behind, right? He's a bigger guy. He's a guy that comes with a little bit of snarl. And he can also put up a little bit of points. But maybe he was playing in an elevated role in LA because they don't have the best forward depth anyway. But you know what? Great fourth-line piece. The only concerning thing with Jack Campbell's contract is it has 2 more years on it, so a previously signed extension for $1.65 million a season. So that is something to factor in for next year. And they reported during the broadcast that Kyle Dubas has acquired Jack Campbell in a trade previously in the OHL. So there's a pre-existing relationship there, and hopefully that helps him get comfortable quick because there's a game on Friday and a game on Saturday. And like I was saying earlier in the video, you got to give up something to get something, basically, is what I was trying to say with the Kasperi Kapanen thoughts. But with Trevor Moore, you're still giving up something. With the 3rd round pick, you're still giving up something that you probably would have liked to have held on to, something that's probably a little bit of an overpayment, but you know what? Your back was up against the wall and you needed to do something. There was a need, it was addressed. Now we have to wait and see if it pans out. And I'm willing to unwind some of the slack that I pulled tight earlier in the video with Kyle Dubas, because at least those first 2 things are being done, right? At least there's something progressive being done to help the problem. And as long as that's the case, I'm fully supportive of them. So guys, let me know what your thoughts and opinions are down in the comment section. Leave me a like on the video because it does help out a lot, and subscribe for more because more is always on the way. And guys, the Toronto Maple Leafs are still making the playoffs. I am dead set on it. It's going to happen.